Yeah, sure.
Hello, William. Thank you for joining me today. We just established that we both are in a little sauna because here currently in Germany it's a heat wave, and where you are it's a heat wave as well. So I'm just sitting here in my little how do you call this in a wife beater? I think it's in English, but
Yeah, I
anyway,
think they call it that. I don't
it's
know
it's
why, but
it's a really bad, yeah, in a black wife beater, not in a
yeah,
white one. It's a difference.
yeah,
And we might have
I
to
got
air
it right.
our studios once in a while because it's really hot here. But I'm very happy to have you. I really like your music, and the fun part for me is I only talk with people where I really like the music, so that's easy for me because you're talking to a fanboy basically.
Yeah.
So can you please introduce yourself to the audience and just say who you are, what you're doing, and maybe a little bit of your musical background?
Sure. Uh, I usually go by the name Willam Ember, uh, a taken name, more or less, artist name, and I sing and produce stuff with Ember Twin, which is my main project. We've been around since around 2017. We released our debut album In Shapes, and since then we released an EP after that and an album last year. And we consist of 3 people. It's me and Mikael, and then we got our bassist Malin as well, and she joined us in 2019. So we've been around, played some places here in Sweden before the pandemic broke out. We were actually planning a tour in Germany right when the pandemic started. So,
Oh man, that's really
so yeah,
bad.
that was kind of awful timing. But me and Mikael, we have played together for a lot of years. We've known each other for like 10 years or so, probably. Played in different kind of bands, and I used to play. We used to have this more metal, industrial metal band that turned into Ember Twin in the end, when we got more electronic with more synths and stuff.
Yeah, I really like the music. This is and for me, maybe this is also the reminiscence of the metal elements or something that makes it so better palatable or something because it's not. Sometimes it makes sense from which way you get into something. If you have like Ministry, for example, they came from pop music and added guitars, and you're coming from metal music and add more synths. So this is the other way around, and I rather like this one. I have to admit, because it's anyway. There's some more. I mean, I like both. Ministry is cool too. No problem at all. It's great stuff, but for me, I think there's a distinction between the way you come from. So if you tone it down or if you tone it up, that's the difference basically. And anyway. You actually answered my first question already because I was like, okay, you're called Ember Twins and you are 3 people. So, either you cannot count or you cannot really, or you did it on purpose. But you kind of answered it already because your latest edition came 2019. So she just joined the band and you didn't change your name, and that's fine, but it was odd for me.
It's gonna we at first, when I was making the album Let Us In last year, I was making that album in 2019, and I was going through a really bad breakup and moved to a different part of the country, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. with music anymore either. And we've played some form of alternative rock with some industrial elements before. And at the time, it was only me and Mikael, and he played drums and I played guitar and sang, and I didn't really know where I want to go with the band. So I was listening to a lot of electronic bands at the moment, and I was wondering if maybe we should be an electronic duo in a way, doing it like that. And I started to write a lot of more electronic stuff. I didn't really have a plan, so to speak. I just wanted to put something out there and express a lot of stuff that I had built up during that time. And all of a sudden, I saw that an ad on Facebook, of all places, that Malin had just moved to my old hometown here, because I just moved back, and she was searching for a band to play with. And she was really into punk bands and stuff like that. So I thought, oh, maybe it could be like a three-piece, and she could play bass then. So I started adding guitars and bass into the music again. And all of a sudden, we started to sound like we did now. So that's the reason we had a lot of electronic tracks on our last album. Because you can see that she joined the project, and all of a sudden we had like 3 tracks with guitars and bass all of a sudden. So it changed the way we made that record in a way, and that's the sound we had. And she used to play in a punk band in the north part of Sweden, and she left that band to move here. So it kind of changed how we did things. And I wrote the single "Beautiful Liar" that we released a couple of months ago somewhere. That was actually the first song I wrote with another person like that, and Malin was part of that. So that was a different experience, and a new form of era of the band in a way, that we started to write stuff together more, and so it was kind of fun. It wasn't really planned in a way either, because she showed up. She had planned to just record some bass on some songs I'd written and recorded already, and she said, I had some bass riffs, maybe you want to record some of them. And I said, sure. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them in the future, maybe something. And she left, and a couple of days later I sat and listened to them, and I didn't really have any plans. And all of a sudden I just listened to a riff, and I started copy paste it over and over in the studio, and added some drums to it, and all of a sudden it became a whole song. And a couple of weeks later, I told her, you want to hear something? I just recorded this song from one of your riffs. And she thought, maybe as like added some drums or some vocal or something, but it was more or less a finished song. So yeah, that was kind of funny to see her expression. But so she's been a part of that as well, influencing our sound in a way.
How tough was it for you because sometimes it's not easy to make the shift from you being the only one who writes the music, and everything is according to your plan, and then how easy was it for you to incorporate her ideas and to work together with someone?
It was a bit confusing for me, because people have said in the past that I'm a bit of a control freak in a way, but I don't know. It may have to do with, I've had people that I had bands with way back in the day that wanted to bring too much into the same project. Someone wanted to, I wanted maybe to play like industrial metal, and all of a sudden someone shows up and we should sound more like Sabaton, or we should sound more like Mötley Crüe or something. No. It's become too much. You have to have some form of restriction and limits, and so I think I wanted to have a form of punky vibe vibe to or new music, and I think she added that a bit with the bass, and she got a certain flow with that driving bass in the background, and just adding some electronic melodies over it. And I changed vocal style in a way as well. I always try new stuff. I don't think I even have a vocal style. I just do what fits the song at the moment, see what happens, you know.
But see, this is a really good point. This is, I think this is also what makes your stuff a little bit outstanding. That's why I'm a little bit sad that you're so unknown, because your stuff is great. I like it. You know, it's really cool stuff, and because I think what you're really doing. What I think, you know, I talked with a lot of artists, and you let the song decide where it wants to go. And this is, you know, this is the highest form. You know what? I'm going to explain. This is the best form I think you can do, because it's not, you're not in a certain set. You're not pressed into something, and it needs to be sound. You know, like you just said with your former bandmates. Or we want to sound like Mötley Crüe, we want to sound like Sabaton or something. You know, you just have a riff, and then you see where this takes you, and then you also know how to approach the singing and the vocal style of a song. You know, because not, you know, and this is, I think, the best way of doing music, because you just let it happen. You kind of basically open yourself up, and you're the gateway to the other dimension, and let whatever comes in, you let pass through you, and just add what needs to be added, you know? So, you know, this is very metaphysical something, but I think, you know, you understand what I mean. It's and this makes the best songs for me. You know, sometimes you don't need a lot of riffs, or you don't have to show off how good you can play a solo, or, you know, how good you can shred on your guitar. I don't care. If it kills the song, it doesn't fit in there, you know? And and this feeling I got from your songs as well. And so it's nice to hear that you know, that you got to this point on your own.
Yeah, now I felt when we made the last album, I felt that I don't have anything more to lose in a way, because I've already lost a lot of stuff at the moment. I have to move to a different part of the country. I lost my apartment and a lot of stuff, and I was really down. I felt, what's the worst that can happen if I just release something? Maybe people think it's totally awful. I don't know. I do it because I feel like this is something I want to do, and I like it, and I can relate to it.
Exactly.
So it was, in a quite different tone than we used to do, and that's a lot of. I try to follow my gut feeling when we do stuff, and see what works and what feels right, and try stuff out. I always send stuff to Mikael as well when I do stuff, and he see what he thinks about it, and if he likes it or not, and try to explain my point of view when I wrote it, and see what's right for the band. I've always tried to see what we can do to try some new stuff as well, and I try to restrict myself in a way. I have this challenge now that I want to try to just write music on analog synths and don't use all this digital stuff too much, and see what happens, you know. I think it's a fun challenge, and then we can start adding maybe like guitars and bass and stuff, but just to write something on a different instrument that you're not used to using. I think that can make it interesting. And I was never that much of a musician. I can play guitar and I can play drums and stuff like that. And I wasn't that much of a singer to begin with anyway. I used to sing in a punk band in my teens, you know, a horror punk band. We're really into like Misfits and stuff. So that's my background. I used to play drums. I started playing drums when I was 11. So
that's quite early.
Yeah, and I took courses and stuff. Started to play like jazz and all this stuff I thought was totally boring. But
jazz.
but they're like the best drummers ever as
Of
well.
course,
If
I
you
mean,
can
jazz
play like that,
is constant
it's insane.
improvisation. If you can play jazz, you
Yeah,
can play everything. That's. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not dissing it. I just don't like
yeah.
it. So I
No,
understand it's good,
it's
but
kind of it's kind of the same. I've never been into jazz, but I can totally respect
mhm.
the musicianship. And I started playing drums in a lot of bands, and I like what I cared most about when I was that age was more like trying to be the next drummer in like Iron Maiden or Kiss or something, like my idols. That was my dream, And when I got older, I started playing drums with some heavier metal bands, thrash metal or black metal bands, and a band that turned into a grindcore band before I quit. And it was not really my thing, but it worked. I played a lot
grindcore
of
is a lot of blast beats and double bass all around, and it's. I played in a grindcore band as well. I play bass, so I like the voice quite a lot, but the music is not so much my thing. It's a lot of fun. It's just very fast punk basically, but yeah, it's not my thing if it comes to that.
Yeah, and I felt that I played in a lot of bands in my teens, jumping between bands, but everyone were really fast with coming up with a band name, but they never wrote any real songs or anything. It was always like shitty covers of, I don't know, Judas Priest or different Dimmu Borgir or Cradle of Filth stuff, kind of like that. And I was so bored. We never got to play live. We never did anything. People just came into the band.
You were just in the rehearsal space all the time. You just did practice all the time. You never had a gig.
No. We were just in a rehearsal space, and we changed members all the time. And I changed bands, and it was just awful. And I just had enough of it, so I formed my own band, and that was a horror punk band. And I played bass and sang at the same time. And looking back in it, it wasn't really amazing, But I never thought that I had to compete with professional bands at the time. I just did it because I thought it was fun, and we printed some demos. We took a trip down to Berlin, actually.
Oh, wow.
And started to handing out some demos to random people, and it was really fun. Germany is a really nice place as well.
It's a very hot place at the moment. Yeah,
I can imagine. It's kind of like Sweden right now. It's just boiling.
Yeah. But, how much is it? How much is it in Sweden? Just for checking, because I want to know who suffers more, me or you. Here it's 36 degrees at the moment.
Yeah, it must be like 32 here or something.
Okay, so I suffer a little bit more. Just we have established that.
You can brag about that. So. But we played for a couple of years together and had this horror punk band. We never really went anywhere. We made some demos.
What was the name? What was the name of a horror punk band?
Hyde and the Hellbillies. And it was I always been going through different like artists' name. So at the time we all had names picked from different horror characters. So I had Hyde, and because I like the Jekyll and Hyde movie, and I've always been into old horror movies, big fan of stuff like that. And I always tried to get away from my birth name because people can't really pronounce my last name because it's Danish. So
I'm not going to ask you.
It's followed me all the way through my life. People could never get it right. So I thought, fuck it, I can just use an artist name. But we turned into an industrial metal band for some time, and totally reformed the band and called ourselves Armless Alice. And we were around for a couple of years, played some gigs here and there and some festival boat, and it was a pretty fun time. I met Mikael at the time. He joined and he played bass at the time, and then moved over to drums later on. But we made some low budget music videos and stuff. You can probably find them somewhere. I tried to block everything, or tried to list everything, but it wasn't that fantastic maybe. But at the time it was fun. And I am moved around a bit. I moved to Gothenburg, lived there for a couple of years.
You know what? Sorry, this has nothing to do with you, but I know 5 bands from GOTHenburg. 5.
Yeah.
It's GOTHenburg is for, I really like to call it GOTHenburg.
Yeah.
It's for some reason, I know a horror punk band, I know a blues metal band, I know alternative rock, and a few more. It's crazy. For some reason, this is like a hub. There's a lot of bands there.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's always been like a big town for musicians, and everywhere you go, where I lived there, you always stumbled over different like musicians and rock stars and stuff. It was hilarious. Mm-hmm. So I could just go out and buy some milk, and I stumbled into like some members from like Hammerfall or different metal bands, And I live kind of close to Snowy Shaw. I don't know if you've seen him or heard about him. He played drums in like King Diamond and Merciful Fate.
Wow, no, I heard of them, but I'm not familiar with the names of individuals. Then,
yeah, and I think he played live drums for like Sabaton for some time as well. He's kind of a bit known here in Sweden. He played in a lot of bands, drums or guitars and stuff. And that was my idol as a teen. I used to play songs that he played on, like with different bands, try to mimic his drum moves and stuff. So it was kind of weird to live kind of close to each other all of a sudden.
Did you talk with him? Did you get to know him?
I talked to him like once. I didn't want to be that weird fanboy that shows up, but it was cool. A really nice guy, really fun. So that was pretty interesting. So we played around for a couple of years, and then I moved down to Värmland, eller Värmland, as we say it in Swedish, and it's like in the middle of the woods. It's in the middle of nowhere, and we changed like band name, and I think it like inspired me to do some kind of other kind of music, and I started to listen to a lot of other stuff as well. I got really into like singer-songwriter stuff, or like Lisa Germano. She's a person that inspired me a lot at the time. I don't think that many people listen to her, but I got really into more trying to mix like acoustic stuff instead of electronic stuff, and have some like acoustic more drums like that with some piano. Try to find some kind of weird mix, So that was what inspired in the In Shapes album, the first debut album that we made there. And I've been a fan of David Bowie for a really long time, since I was in my teens. And I always liked that he jumped between genres and different looks and styles and stuff like that. So I wanted to experiment a bit with that. So we tried different looks and tried different sounds. And I easily get bored with stuff. That's what scared me away from metal music in a way, because I think that when we actually made an EP with the Armless Alice band back when we were like in our early 20s, and the reviews of that EP was kind of, we were breaking too many rules of like the metal stuff. You always had like, this isn't metal, that isn't
this
metal.
is not true. This is not true death metal. This is not true this and that. I hate that. Is. I don't know if you have listened to my radio show or checked my playlist or something. I like to mix it a lot. I get bored like you. I get bored very easily. I like punk. But if I listen to 3 punk songs in a row and they're always just 180 miles per hour and something, I get bored. I need to change it. I want something soft. I want some, some pop music. I want some death metal. I want some industrial. I like it mixed. I get bored easily as well. So I think we are quite in the same ballpark here.
Yeah, exactly how I feel. I actually like your playlist. So it's kind of funny that I got invited to this meeting in a way, to this interview. I think we share a lot of opinions when it comes to that. And I just think it's really depressing when there's too many rules. You can't do this, you can't play that. And it was exactly that what scared me away from all these bands I played in when I was teenagers, because no, we have to do it this way because Metallica did it that way, or
Exactly.
like,
and
yeah, but why
exactly
would we do
this
that?
is why, there is, in this world, we have to play to so many rules. You have to, I mean, if you ride your car, you have to, the red light, you have to stop and whatever. But the only way where you can be absolutely free is in music. There is no right or wrong in music. You can run in this direction and you can run in this direction.
Yeah.
Only you can say, I like it or I don't like it. This is the only thing that counts. And so, sorry, I get a bit, I hate it if people say, no, this, we cannot do that. But this is like, remember where we started. I really like your approach. Let the song decide where it wants to go. When if it wants to become a death metal song, let it be a death metal song. If it wants to become an acoustic singer-songwriter piece, let it be a singer-songwriter piece. So what the fuck? I can swear on my radio program, so I can do it as well. But who says you can't? I mean, this is the freedom you have. Take it. And don't be like, oh no, this is not true. And, we need to please the fans who are true this and true that. Fuck that. You need to be happy. Because if you are on stage and you have to perform it, and you're just going through the motions because it's true, that's why I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to do this. The people will feel that you're just like, oh, I'm just, doing the same again and again. So, anyway,
it's going to get boring and fail.
It gets really boring.
And I felt that it's when you think about rock music and metal, it was supposed to be a bit rebellious, and all of a sudden everyone dresses the same. Everyone sounds the same. It's like, is this rebellious, really?
This is a real good point. My one thing I really always find very, very funny, if you see a person and it looks like a punk has to look, then he didn't understand what punk is about. Because when he wears a uniform for a movement, this shouldn't have a uniform at all, because he dresses up like somebody. And just recently, I'm a lot on YouTube. I listened. There was a new Loudwire video with this is the bands you have to listen to, the new stuff, and I was just listening to the first 3 or something, and I just wrote down, thank you. This is more of the same. We don't need that. Yeah. This is kind of we are. How come that? I don't get it. If we would have been doing the same thing over and over again, we all would play blues rock like Black Sabbath has done. There would be no metal. There would be no something, because there's always evolving, always going somewhere. And I don't get it why people are so. I get it, if you do a tribute band, that you want to cover and you want to sound like King Crimson or whatever. That's absolutely fine. That's cool. Yeah. But when you sound like them, and when you if you step into others' shoes, you never leave your own footprint. So do something new. Be creative. Use your brain and be happy with, like, as you said, that you're starting with I thought it's a Moog synthesizer, but it's a Korg, right? Like you said in the background. People on the podcast will not see it, but it's a really nice old-fashioned synthesizer. And you said you're gonna start with old-fashioned synthesizers, and you don't know much about them. But this is exactly the approach. I think. Okay, I think we're from the same type. I like the most, because you will stumble across things that you would have not found if you would look, if you go through a tutorial and you know exactly what to do, and if you play this chord, this happens. You will just play around and see what happens, and you will stumble. You will find new things, and it's so much more fun to explore in this way. And anyway, I think we're really the same here. So the point is. Let's stop with this, because I can go on forever. It's music is freedom, and you should have this freedom. And I hope I'm not intruding here, but I don't think you have a label yet or something. Somebody.
No, we actually used to have a label with my past band and my band we used to have, but we never really got along with each other. So we left after a year. And now I feel kind of free at the moment with what we do.
This is exactly what I wanted to say. You are free because you don't have
Yeah.
an obligation. You don't have to please the landlord and put out a thing, and it's commercially viable and this and that. Fuck that. Do what you want. One last thing, and then I stop and let you talk again because it's
Sure.
It's you. I want to get to know. The worst thing I found out lately was that there are people who optimize songs for Spotify. And this is the worst thing you can do. They kind of start with a hook line right away, so you get in the first 30 seconds you get hooked, so that you listen to it, and they're very short, 1 minute 30 or something, so you can listen more, you can have more plays, and I'm like, man, this is so wrong,
Yeah, it's not even like art or music anymore. It's like a weird product.
Yeah, you're working for an algorithm. You're working for a machine.
Sure.
Tell this to Peter Steele with a 11-minute Typo Negative song. And
sure.
you can play it only even less than 6 times per hour, and that's great. And this is how don't fuck all the rules. Do what you want to do, because this is okay. And then I close with this. Sorry, but if you always play in the rules, you always will do what everyone else has done. But the only person who really stands out of a crowd, and like you said with David Bowie, I'm pretty sure he got bored with all his personas, and then he just killed them, and Ziggy Stardust, and he started a new one. And this is how progress is happening, that you kind of do something new. If you do what everyone else does, you're doing whatever, you're just one of a million of the drops in the ocean. But if you do something special, then you are, when you might not be recognized for it, but at least you did something what no one else did. So I'm stopping now.
That's something. And I think, like, when I remember something about Bowie there, I remember his son Duncan talked about that Bowie didn't always succeed with every incarnation. But he always tried. He always experimented and was never afraid to fail. Mm-hmm. And that can be quite a difference, when you're like out being a creative, and you just dare to go places, and if it fails, it fails, and then you'll try something new next time and see what happens. You never like try to emulate other stuff, because it will be boring as well, and isn't that really a fun journey anyway? To just you could easily just be a cover band, by that point.
I think the most important thing, and I take this for myself as well, because what I'm doing here, talking with you and then putting it on the internet, and when my friends say, "Oh, Tobias, you put in so much time here, and you got only like 260 followers, and so nobody is watching this, and so, but I get it. Yeah, it's not a little snippet and not a flashy TikTok whatever, but I'm doing, and this is the same as you, I'm doing what I like, and I'm doing what is worthwhile to me. This is kind of my hobby, and if somebody else likes it, good. If not, when you're not supposed to be here, then just pass on. There's millions of other things you can watch Netflix and whatever. But if you're interested, and if you want to get to know Ember Twins, then just check it out, and you will get to know. And and I have my fun with it. My point I'm trying to make is just, people look today at the metrics. Oh, she has only 10,000 followers or something, so she's not really that good. Who the fuck cares? How was it in the past? Would have Black Sabbath ever started when, we only have 1,000 followers. Can we play there, please? Back then we would be like, what are you talking about? Either you're good or you're not good. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, this is kind of, it ran out of proportion. But I have like a few. Okay, I'm stopping with my theory. Sorry. I have like the pendulum swings in one direction, and then it will swing in the other direction. That people are all for TikTok engagement and and viewer blah, 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 and all this stuff, and then it will be like. And then they will look at the content, if it's really worthwhile to look at it, and if it's really worthwhile to have a little tidbit, sorry, I'm getting from one to another. In the past, I did run these videos, these talks also on the radio station where I'm a radio DJ, right? And my radio boss hated it because it was only a very, only people who are interested in Ember Twins would listen to this show. Yeah. And then I would be there for an hour and talking, blah, blah, blah. And he asked me, but just put in, little tidbits, cut out, like 30 seconds of what he said, cool stuff. But I'm not interested in it. What can you say in 30 seconds? What can you put in a little 1 minute segment? It will be funny and cool. People will click it 1,000 times, but it would be nothing. It's without substance. There is no nutritional value in it. And anyway, so I guess now I'm giving it back to you. I guess we're in the same boat here. We're doing what we like to do, and it doesn't really matter if people like it. As long as we like it, everything is all right.
Yeah, and I think regarding podcasts, I've become quite an addict when it comes to podcasts, and it's just really
listen
fun.
To my podcast.
yeah, it's always great, and I appreciate that there are people like you out there that care about music so much that you have something like this, and I think it's great value, and I think it adds so much, to the whole music community, and I think it's great, and I love to just like sit and just listen to people talking about, and you don't really have to have a subject to begin with. It just keeps going and flowing, and it's all over different subjects after a while. That usually happens like that with like humans and all when we speak to each other, and I just think it's great. And it's so funny when you talk about followers and numbers. Did you see the guy there was from like USA or something, and he faked his followers on Facebook?
This was a big story, in the UK,
hilarious.
Like it was.
In a way, he pointed out something with it as well. That you can really cheat yourself into the big tours and stuff, and sure, no one shows up, but it's kind of funny, because people have asked us before as well, about how many Facebook followers do you have, or how it's like, sure, I can always buy more Facebook followers if you want to, but really.
And I get it. Honestly, there's always two sides to it. So I understand it also. If you have a small club owner and you're a no-name band, and he wants to sell beer and booze and stuff, and he needs to make a living. And if you only bring 3 people, then he's kind of like, I like your music, but it's not working. So I get it,
I can understand stuff like that. I can understand though. It's must be tough to like survive as a club. But come to talk about clubs, I found this very funny because I have this friend that tried to help us with this tour in Germany. He talked about how much Germans actually go to clubs. You seem to have like clubs open every day in the week of the week, more or less. That's kind of insane, Here in Sweden, you can't really, even if you open like one day in a week or something, you can't get people there. It's weird, it's impossible to get Swedes to go out.
The thing is here, I'm here in Jena. That's my hometown, and we have like 2 universities here. So you have a lot of students. We have like 25,000 students. Young people, and we want to be entertained. So I mean, there's always. I mean, of course, now was pandemic and all this shit, but there's always something going on, and the people want to be entertained, and then you find your audience, and then it's not the same in GOTHenburg even, in the
we don't have any. We have more. We have a ton of bands in Gothenburg, but it isn't that many places to play at. And so it's kind of weird. If everywhere you look in Sweden, you have a few places here and there to play, but it's either full or like there's always bands booked there, or we got like these bigger places. So if you are a small band, it's very hard to find like good clubs. And if there are clubs, they're usually like true metal stuff. You can't really play that. If you had a synth, you're banned for life, like stuff like that. And and we tried to do something different. When we had our last band, me and Mikael, that's an industrial band called Armis Alice, we actually got banned from stuff. And we didn't really want. They didn't really like us. We were too weird, and we just tried to do something different, because usually people walk up and they say hello to everyone, start playing a song. We had like big intros and we had props on stage, and we wanted to like entertain people. We had like several sets of TVs on the stage as well that you can walk on and stuff. And people were like, "What the fuck are these guys up to?" So it was kind of weird,
So you got really banned from this place?
Yeah, from at a place at our hometown. We couldn't play there anymore because they thought we were too weird to really be there. And I mean, we played industrial metal. I guess we sounded a lot like bands like Death Stars and stuff, and so it wasn't some weird underground like.
Yeah, I mean, Death Stars is cool stuff. I mean, exactly, because one thing I really have to. Okay, so I will take over the conversation a little bit again because
Sure.
I said earlier, that music is freedom, and I mean it. Music is freedom. Do whatever you like, but sometimes, as I'm a radio DJ, I get a lot of songs sent to me. Please listen to this and that, and sometimes people abuse the label experimental because if you cannot do anything, and if you cannot sing, if you cannot play an instrument, you do experimental music because it doesn't mean anything. It kind of everything. It's just a lot of noise and ominous whatever. And then I'm supposed to find value in this shit, and so. This is where I draw the line. I mean, I also don't like the I don't know. You played in metal bands. I don't like growling so much. Like this. Because it disguises most of the time people who cannot sing because you can scream. I know it's a technique and there's a thing, but for me it's more like, okay, these guys. We cannot do much, so we cannot sing, we cannot play, but we make a lot of noise, and call it experimental or special, whatever. So, so it's a shield, to kind of show, to hide your inabilities. Let's put it this way. So where I'm drawing the line, but I don't know how you really sounded then as you got banned, but. I know how the Death Stars sound, and they are really, for me, this is kind of mainstream goth rock pop kind of thing.
That's kind of how we sound. We had we didn't actually exactly sound like them in a way, but we had these clean vocals, like a bit bassy, but we had like these 3 minutes metal songs more or less, and it wasn't that weird, but I think it was like. We had like platform boots and like stuff like that, and makeup, and it was that whole thing going on, So, and I think people didn't really like that, but I grew up like with bands like that I liked was like Kiss, and stuff. So it wasn't that weird for me, as trying to entertain people. I love bands like Alice Cooper or artists like Alice Cooper, when he entertains people in a way. He has props in it. So for me, it was like just a natural thing, and people didn't really understand it. Or bar owners didn't really understand us, because we had like a few followers and stuff that really liked us and appreciated that we stood out. But they even had a contest at in our hometown, and they tried to ban us there as well.
Really?
So it's
How
really
long
weird.
how long was this ago? I mean, because things have changed a little bit. Today it's more like, it's more the opposite coming, like that people want to be
Yeah,
genre fluid and,
yeah, yeah.
crossover all over the place and stuff. So how long was it? How
It
long
was
ago?
like 10 years ago or something. So
Okay.
it wasn't that long.
No, not
But
that long.
it, I remember that when we played that contest, that we outraged a lot of parents there, because
Of
they
like
had this.
fake blood or something.
No, we didn't even have fake blood, because they think we had some form of uniforms on us
Okay.
that they thought were like military stuff, but didn't have any form of stuff like that. We were never
That's
a
so
part of
odd
anything
to
like that.
hear this.
Yeah, it's so weird. So I think that sometimes Sweden can be a bit conservative when
Hmm.
it comes to like stuff like that, and then they don't have that. Sure, they've had some clubs that play like alternative bands and stuff, but they're few and far between.
Hmm.
And these bigger clubs don't really understand anything that doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin or Iron Maiden and stuff. It's all like guitar rock
You know,
places, and sure they
I'm
have some
just
heavier, but still.
trying to think, but you know, I get a little bit bored by it by now, but
Yeah,
I really like Rammstein, and
yeah,
Rammstein always does the thing, outrageous stuff and
yeah,
perverted things and
yeah,
uniforms and
yeah,
killing people, and I mean like Alice Cooper, just a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit
It's
bigger,
kind of
just bigger, basically.
yeah,
Um, so I don't get it, and people are so used to that,
yeah.
it sounds like you just did a smaller version of Alice Cooper or
Yeah,
Rammstein, and
it,
and
it, it was
and
kind of like that, and people were really upset. And
I
I
don't get it.
remember this.
Mm,
We had this guy, and he actually came and talked to us after the show, and he wanted to help promote us. And it was kind of funny because we were like in our early 20s, and he was probably like 45 something. And he said he had connections, and he wanted to help us reach some other level. And the
mm,
first thing he asked me was, "Do you have any Nazi tattoos?" And I said, "No. Why would I have that? I have like colorful
mm,
horror
mm,
tattoos. Well, I always liked horror movies and horror comics." And it was like, "Yeah, but you guys really upset a lot of people when you played there, a lot of parents, but
mm,
all the kids loved you." So it was kind of weird because all the kids and the more, yeah, younger people there understood what we were trying to do, but the parents, they must be like the same age as Alice Cooper, more or less. So
mm,
how could they not see what we tried to do? And yeah, so that was pretty weird. That you can get that kind of reaction in the 2000s. You don't really get any reaction at all
mm.
usually. So that's kind of funny.
I mean, you could, in a way, you could turn it around as something positive, because
Yeah,
you got a reaction. I mean, the
yeah,
worst thing is if you don't get it's like, oh yeah, we sound nice, yeah, da, da, da,
yeah, yeah.
you don't
You
really
could,
care. It's kind of
yeah,
like, fuck off, when it's really the
yeah,
worst thing you can get. But
yeah,
so in a way, I mean, if you take, this is kind of a Rammstein approach. People talk about it. The press will,
yeah,
oh, we are playing Nazis in their
yeah,
video, or we're killing this and that, and
yeah,
this is a lot of press we get for
mm,
nothing. I mean, just
yeah,
for the outrage, and people will talk about it. So in a way, you did it
yeah,
right. You just didn't
yeah,
use the spin, basically.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I'm
pretty
just
weird.
surprised,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. And I remember back in high school and stuff, that you couldn't play bands like Rammstein there
Really?
because, yeah, they said that, yeah, that's Nazi music. And
Okay.
I liked Rammstein. I
Hmm.
obviously knew that they're not Nazis. They got their own thing going, and
Hmm.
I actually learned a bit of German as well throughout the years. And I was so upset that people never looked into what they tried to ban.
Hmm.
Like, what are you? It's kind of like how Sweden was in the 80s. They tried to ban stuff like Wasp. and stuff like that. You know,
Okay.
it was ridiculous. You know, a lot of heavy metal bands, and it can happen here and there. You know, but it's not really. I mean, now we got like big festivals here in my hometown here that plays like black metal bands and death metal bands. The Gävle Metal, it's called Gävle Metal Festival,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a lot of big like darker bands, you know. So they do exist in a way, but sometimes you can see like some reflection of the past in a way. But it's
Yeah,
not
see,
like actual
this
stuff.
is what I don't really get because I mean, you know, I have to be absolutely honest. I always lump all these Scandinavian countries together. For me,
Yeah,
this is one big blob. So
yeah,
you know, you're all black metal territory, and you know, really gruesome church burning, and when you tell me this story you just told me,
yeah,
and I cannot get it. You know, there's like
mm,
people burning crosses and stuff, and being anti-religious, and where
yeah,
I can understand that, you know, a normal family would be like, oh no, this is not good, and yeah,
yeah,
but just for entertainment and um, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been there, and I believe
mm,
what you're saying, but
yeah,
it sounds very odd. In a way, you know, this is what music needs to do. The worst thing, like I said, what happens if people say, "Oh yeah, you know," then it's elevator music. You know, it doesn't. You know, it
yeah,
goes
yeah,
in here
sure,
and goes out there, and doesn't stuck with you. Even if I hate
yeah,
a thing, it's better because when I would, oh no, I don't like that, and then I can
yeah,
tell you why I don't like it, and then it means I have, you know, um, I kind of familiarized myself with it. So anyway, maybe let's bring it back to Ember Twins because this is
yeah,
so as far as I know now is and this is very positive. You kind of let the music decide where to go. So you have no real,
yeah,
okay, this is Ember Twins and this is not Ember Twins anymore. You know, this is kind of, you let it happen, you let it flow. And most likely, from what I heard so far, the next songs or the next EP or album will be even sound different because you're doing now
yeah,
analog stuff and
yeah.
mixing some things. So, yeah, this is really cool. Or do you have any goals you want to reach here, or just, you know, having fun?
For me, it's about expressing myself,
Hmm.
and it would be great to get out and tour, you know, when the pandemic is over. And so for me, it's we try to like take it year for year and see what seems like uh, the next step or like something logical to do next. And right now, it would be fun to just experiment and try some new sounds. But I easily get bored with stuff, you know.
Hmm.
Even like before we even release the record, and I want to do something new. You know, I'm on to the next because it takes a lot to mix and master stuff and the production part. And you know, when I'm not doing like the Ember Twin stuff, I also make some music for like indie games and stuff. Like I
Oh, cool.
make some music for a mobile phone game at the moment. So there's always like music all around
Hmm.
me, and it's always something scheduled that I need to work on. And right now with Ember Twin, we're actually working on a new music video.
Hmm.
So we're looking forward to see the reaction to that. We put quite a lot of effort into it.
When does it come out?
We don't have a release date
Ah,
yet. We're
okay.
editing it right now, actually. So
Please
that's
send it to me once you have released it. You know,
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to. I was watching some of your other videos. The latest one, there was a lot of strobe thing, and
yeah,
I turned it down. So I just wanted to listen to the music is great, but the strobe was kind of annoying for me.
yeah,
You know, I guess you get this a lot,
yeah.
but
You know, I sometimes I try to think of stuff like that, and sometimes I just do stuff. You know, it's like yeah, if people like it, they like it. You know, but
mhm.
I think it's kind of cool effect. But people don't always like strobes. You know, yeah, I like bright lights and flashy stuff. You know,
That's
so kind
absolutely
of
fine. You know, don't take my word
yeah,
for it. It was just.
yeah,
Um, you know, I like, okay, this is just me, you know. I like videos where a story is told, you know, where
Yeah,
where something is happening and stuff. So that's why I always like to watch. And but if there's just this, then I kind of put it in a different tab and just listen to the music, because
yeah,
I liked the music, but there was nothing going on what really needed my attention
yeah,
to be there. At least as far as I could see, because the rest I
yeah.
haven't seen, I have to admit.
You should have been there though, because we had that flashing light in our faces when we made it.
Really? You had it for
Yeah,
real? Ah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was flashing all around. You couldn't see anything, like going around blindly in the woods, So and we were only two people making the video. It was me and
Mm-hmm.
Mikael.
Mm-hmm.
So that in the middle of the night, and it was so funny because we had like corpse paint and stuff. It was
Mm-hmm.
because at first we wanted to make something a bit like some ridiculous black metal video,
Mm-hmm.
because Sweden is kind of known for black metal, kind of like Norway in a way. That's kind of darker stuff. And so we thought maybe it would be fun to do something like that. Kind of like, yeah, let's do a black metal video. We've never done a black metal video, even though we played in bands like that, before. So it was so weird without any real plans. It was raining outside. It was dark.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going through this dark side of town. We were getting near this big wooden area. And all of a sudden, this older guy shows up on a bicycle, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we're like going there with hoods on and
Mm-hmm.
like corpse paint and
We're
stuff.
going to
And
a black mass, man.
yeah,
You
and it
want to
was
be
so
our lamb
funny.
to slaughter? Okay.
Yeah, and the funny thing, he got interested and wanted to follow us into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this guy, it was hilarious. Like, God, doesn't think about survival at all. It's like you get to go follow strangers with corpse paint into the woods in the middle of the night while it's raining. It was hilarious.
You never know what these people are into, so so
Yeah, in a way, maybe it wanted to be sacrificed. Something, I don't know, but it
you
was
know
so funny. But
but,
we,
yeah.
yeah,
No, this just reminded me. Some friends of mine, a band from LA, they told me a similar story where they did a little a video in a public park, and we didn't know it was a place where the gay people meet and and have their business, and they
wow.
were there with their paint and they had also blood and all this stuff, and people were looking at them really strangely, and yeah, so it sounded a little bit like that, but there was so much traffic there, so and here's like people want to follow you. Even
Yeah,
if you have some strange paint on.
yeah. Don't maybe have some charisma or something. I don't know why he wanted to be around us so much, but it was hilarious.
He had a death wish, maybe.
Yeah, probably. There's a lot of fun stories, when you're at the tiny band, when you want to do some videos and you want to do them outside or stuff. Now the new video we're editing right now, it's filmed with a green screen.
Okay.
So at least we could be inside and control the light or everything. But it was kind of funny, because we just thought that maybe we should just have like makeup and we had some ideas, to what we were going to do with the video and stuff. And all of a sudden my girlfriend asked me, maybe I should go and buy some strawberry jam or something, and you can like use that somewhere in the video. So you will see there's some funny scenes and part where there's like jam all over the place, and it's filmed in her apartment. It was all over the floor, and yeah, it was hilarious.
You had to clean up a lot lately.
Yeah, it was kind of like, do you remember that Ozzy Osbourne cover when he had like some raspberry jam or is it strawberry jam? Yes, in his mouth, like "Speak of the Devil." Is it Diary of a Madman? Something like now is that live album. He made something. I'm talking to Mikael, he's next to me.
Okay. Hi, Mika.
Yeah.
Even if I don't see you.
Yeah, he's invisible at the moment. Yeah. So no, but
He keeps you in check. He has you on a little leash here, and then
Yeah, if I say something stupid, he will electrocute me.
Kick your leg and stuff. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's been like that throughout the whole interview.
Yeah, your legs are blue and yellow from all the kicks. I'm pretty
exactly
sure.
Like that.
I see.
So, no, but it's fun to do some like unexpected stuff. You could use stuff around you. We don't really have that much of a budget. When you film stuff.
Yeah,
it's fun to.
I completely understand.
The things you have. So yeah, it will be fun to see what people think about it. It's a lot of work, as well as when you're the band making music, you're making a video, you're editing the video. It's a ton of work, and I always want to release some new stuff. And as soon as we have recorded something new, I want to be on to the next, more or less, and I don't really want to sit and edit stuff for.
So, but if you, I mean, how tough is it then for you? Because if you go on tour again, one day hopefully this pandemic will be over and you can go out again. Yeah. How tough will it be for you to play the things you done like a year ago or 2 years ago? Because when you have it in your set, is it still, if there's still the energy there, is there still the spark you feel, or is it just with when you release something you want to move on to the next, but if you play it live, it's something different?
I think that we still like rehearse together, so I think that the energy is still there. I always get excited. I think we all get excited when we get to play the stuff finally, like with each other. And I think we get this excitement every time we play the stuff. So I think we're not really bothered by it in that sense. So I think it will. But right now, we're just looking forward to actually play any show and to see it. But it will probably be like booked for a while everywhere.
This is what I realized now too. It's kind of. I was really hoping, now, it's the summertime and things are opening up again and the incidents are really down and whatever. But what I realized, or what I didn't have on my conscience was there's all these bands booked for last year. And they, first exactly. These shows gonna get played, and then the next shows are already booked for the next year. Yeah. So it's like you have like 2 years where everything is kind of set already. So it's really tough. I mean, you can find some underground things where you can play for sure. You will find things. But see, this is what I wanted to ask you anyway, because you said that you were planning on touring Germany. Of course, this has been fallen through, but will you rekindle this? Will there be another effort maybe next year? I guess this year is too late, but next year maybe?
Yeah, I hope so. The plan is to do that, but it will be hard. I mean, there will be a lot of like bands fighting to play the same places more or less, and that's especially on this level. At least I think it helps a bit that it's Germany. You seem to have like open all the time anyway, with like bars and stuff. When you look at places like Sweden, everyone fighting over the same weekend more or less. Like so, it helps a bit, but it will be difficult, I think, to get back and try to get a full tour going and stuff.
I mean, honestly, I'm a nobody, so don't overestimate what I'm telling you right now. But if you're starting to plan your tour, please let me know, because I can I know a few people here, of course. So maybe if it works for you on the tour, that you, because usually you book a tour like one date there, one date, that it kind of makes sense to go a route, something, and I know a few clubs here, so I'm not promising you anything, but please let me know. And if you have some open dates, we might be able to fill it if you're in the area, and I mean, where you really would be very well suited for is, of course, the dark wave, the Wave Gothic Treffen in Leipzig.
Oh,
But you have
I
heard of
never
it,
heard
I'm
about
pretty
that.
sure. Yeah, it's the biggest one in the world, so you should have heard of it.
Yeah, I
You sh-
guess.
um,
So,
so, but this is not this year, as far as I know. I mean, it would have been already. So next year, next year might be again. And when I'm like what I said, we're already pre-booked. I'm pretty sure. But what I wanted to say, in Leipzig, there's a lot of clubs, and I know a few people in Leipzig, so anyway. My point is, let me know when you're coming on tour, because I have a weekly radio show and I can at least say something about it, and and let people know that you're touring, and also play your tracks, of course, and maybe even get you here, and then we can have a live interview. This would be cool.
yeah, that would be amazing. That sounds like a cool idea, and I really appreciate it. So it sounds like a fun thing. Sure. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. So like right now we're planning a lot of. I had this idea that I wanted to release like an EP or album next, but Spotify and this whole streaming stuff, it's kind of made for singles. That's kind of, and I'm an album guy. I love big albums, concept albums, like The Wall with Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So to me, I would love to just release these big albums, or EPs. But we'll see. We have just released like a lot of singles.
But I get it. I mean, we talked about it that Typo Negative, they would be a single would be like an EP for others.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what I always suggest to people is like, put up whatever you want to put it out in singles first. And then, every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, you put out a single. And then after X amount of months, you put out the album, and then you have a special track on it, or a remix or something that makes it kind of worthwhile to have it as an album. But like you said, it doesn't, for a Spotify user, I don't, I'm a Spotify user myself. I don't care about the album. If I like the track, I put it in my list, and that's it, and when I want the track. And it is very, very rarely, I have to admit, that I then go through a whole album. It's very
takes a lot
rare.
of effort in a way to like that time.
And
people don't really have that time.
Exactly. This is also, sometimes I feel a little bit bad when I'm so short. How you say, when I answer people very shortly, because it's, I have a family, I have a job, I also do a little bit of music, I have my radio show, I have, I have actually 2 radio shows and this video so 3 shows. So anyway, my point is, I also have a limited amount of time, so yeah, whenever people say, I'm going to send you something, and then they send me the whole album, I'm always telling them, please give me your best shot. You know what I like, so you know what my channel is about, and give me one that suits best, because I have not the time to go through your whole album. So I'm really sorry about that, but it's the way it is. I get like 50 to 100 songs a week I have to go through. So this just means I don't have the time to really get into, I always think it's funny when people write to me, first chorus comes in at 2 minutes something, and then the big drop and reveal comes at 3 minutes. So, and I'm like, okay, and before that, I shouldn't listen to that? Or what do you think? I mean, if a song sucks before the drop and before the drop doesn't make it gooder, better, gooder, better. I mean, you get my point, So your music needs to be good, and we talked about this before. I don't want, that you do Spotify algorithmized music, short and whatever. Do the way, because I'm listening to so much music. The this might sound that I'm very full of myself, but I get it. You know, I give you the attention of at least 2 minutes of my time I give you. And if you don't make it in 2 minutes in a 3-minute song, okay, then there is, then I'm not going to consider you. That's basically it.
And that's just how it is today. You know, you always compete with everything these days. In a way, you compete with like Netflix and everything. Everyone,
That's true.
It's time. It's all over the place. So yeah, it must be hard talking about like you mentioned Type O Negative, and I have really long songs. That must be really hard to release a single of like 9 minutes right now and try to get people's attention. And yeah, it's kind of different animal in a way. If you think what the music industry used to be, in a way.
But still, remember what I said. We can be the change we want to see. This just because it is the way it is, it can change because it was different before and it is different now and it will be different again, because at the moment Spotify is the big thing. But I talked with a lot of artists and they say, now it's the golden age of Spotify, but this will change. Then it will become maybe YouTube, and then you will have videos again and lyric videos or whatever, or something else what we don't even know yet. Even this stupid TikTok, whatever, I mean, maybe I'm just too old for TikTok, so I don't want to bash it too much. But you get my point, It's things are always moving. The only thing that's different from the past, I think, is that they're moving faster. Trends are getting, coming and going faster. But this, for the two of us, just means do what you really love. So that the worst thing is if you just running after a trend and trying to do, this is in at the moment, and you're outdated the moment you bring out your single, because then thousands of people have done it then, and then you're just the 1001st and nobody will care about it. But if you do what you really love to do and you really mean it, then people will get it. Maybe not 1 million right away, but we're back to this number game, that only a lot of followers, then they must be good. This is bullshit.
Yeah, and if you think about stuff like that, then like the cheeseburger they sell at McDonald's must be the best meal ever.
Must be
in a way,
the best food in the world because it's most sold.
Yeah, so that's it's kind of the same thing, It's
exactly
sold everywhere,
point.
probably.
Yep.
Yeah, so. And I think it's funny with this whole gay thing that they have like everyone releases singles now. It's kind of like how it used to be like when jukeboxes were around, and people have singles out and there were never any real albums. And it's kind of like goes back to that era in a way, that people had singles and maybe they like put a lot of singles together and released a form of collection. Kind of goes in a circle in a way.
Yeah, so, and this honestly, this I don't think is so bad because, this goes back to where we started, but we are very similar. But I like a lot of different things, So I like this one single from you, and then the next two I don't like so much, and then the next one, and then I would put my playlist. I would put together anyway the way I like it. How I like to hear it. So I wouldn't care, if it's an album or if it's a concept album and you really thought about it and this goes into that. That's fine. It's good. If I'm really interested, and this is why we're talking. If I'm really getting interested in a musician, in an artist, then I talk with them because then I want to get to know them. Then I want to know where you're coming from, And one of my prepared questions I didn't ask you even is because you answered it voluntarily. Is you had this song. I think what I put in my playlist. You want me to make hunt humans.
You make me want to hunt humans.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh man. So explain yourself. But then you said, you were in a bad place and you were just in a breakup relationship and stuff. So, you kind of had all this I think frustration and anger you just put out. And whatever I wanted to talk about. Anyway, and I liked this song, and then maybe in the next album I like only 2 songs, and that's fine with me, you know. And I also, and when I stop with that, just also think about it. It is better that if you try to please everyone, you will please no one. And so it's better to have a few distinctive followers and listeners and fans, you know, who really love your stuff, than just a lot of people who just like, oh yeah, I heard them, you know, and this is nothing, you know. When we come back to this story you told about the guy, you know, who made the UK tour, and so you can think a lot of what does it mean to have 1 million followers if they don't do anything. You know, if you have 10 followers who really love your stuff and come and bring their friends and their spouses and their girlfriends and their whoever, you know, this is so much more meaningful, and it's such a better relation than just like, you know, today this and tomorrow that and whatever. So anyway, this is my stopping point here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely, I agree. It's better to build something real with a small following that's something big, that it's just fluff, you know, so it doesn't really do that much. But regardless, the single that we talked about, You Make Me Want to Hunt Humans, it ties in a bit with Fur that we released, and it's a lot about animal rights and stuff, and I'm a big animal friend, and I've been that for many years, so it's part of that. And sometimes I write lyrics like that or content like that, and I don't like animal abuse. Not that many people do, you know, so sometimes it's good to use your voice, you know, to raise topics like that. And I don't want to be that preaching person, you know. I sometimes I write about personal stuff myself, and sometimes I write about topics that I find interesting, but I never write about stuff that I should be writing, you know, like, you play in this kind of genre, you should write this kind of lyrics, you know. That's kind of the trap where, you know, people should think that I should do this or that, but I just like to express myself, you know. And sometimes it's fun to like express yourself in different topics, and sometimes people don't really get you know, it becomes a bit too abstract in a way, so they can't really.
But on the other way, you know, I rather, but this is just personally me, I rather go for the abstract way, because the abstract for me means that, you know, everyone has his own biography, his or her own history, and listens to it, and it means something else to them. And I had it happen, you know, to me as well, you know, songs which meant something for me in the past, they still mean something, but now they mean something different because I changed. The song is the same, but I changed, so the meaning of them changed. And we are going back to this, or in my point of view, where I really dislike punk, where punk is kind of always telling you this is black and this is white, and there is no left or right. And if you keep it a little bit more ominous and a little bit more open, you know, that you can open for interpretation, then it can mean a lot to a lot of different people. That's what I want to say. Of course, if you keep it too open, then it doesn't mean anything. Then it's just a lot of nice words strung together, and you know, it sounds whatever, and you can hear that. But I guess you get my point. There is this balance that you don't be too in your face. This is what you need to do, and this is what I need you to think, and not too wishy-washy, that it's kind of like it can be everything and nothing, you know. When so, but this is, you know, there is, like in music, there is no right or wrong, you know. If you're happy with the lyrics and if you mean something to them, to you, that's fine. That's all that counts, you know, because you have to sing them, and you have to perform them, and you have to stand behind it. The worst thing, we're back to the music. You should make the music you love, because if you're not standing behind it, and you have a gig, and people will see, oh man, yeah, he's just going through the motion.
Yeah.
This will be a bad gig, and you won't enjoy it, you know. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's always great if people can, like, if they relate to a song and they can like interpret it like they want it. You know, I don't want to go out and tell them the song is totally about this or something, but because I had songs totally ruined by that. You know, if I like a band and they say, "Oh, it's about this," and it's like, okay, I thought it was about this. Okay, now it's totally ruined. But okay, so it can become something like that. You know?
Yep, it can backfire, and this is sometimes. This is where I was really hesitant in the beginning, starting this what I'm doing with you right now, because sometimes it's, even if you get to know the people behind it, and fortunately it didn't happen very often, but sometimes, you know, I think like once or twice only it happened to me that people were like, oh, you know, I'm just making music and it's just, you know, I don't have any idea. It's just like what's coming out and blah, 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 blah. And you know, and then I was like, oh, okay. I thought you really thought about it, and you know, you let it, you know. So it happens, but it's very rarely. Anyway, my point is sometimes it's also not good to know the person behind the music. It's better to have them, like, you know, put them on a pedestal and just think, oh, you know, these are these rock gods, and they, you know, they never use the toilet because they're so, you know, they're something else, out of this world. Anyway, you get my point. So, I, you know, it's really nice to get to know you, but I still would kind of getting to the end, because I really need some fresh air here.
Yeah, sure.
But it seems like we will talk again, because you know, you, like, I think this year not much will happen, but next year things will open up again. And you know, I know only small clubs, of course, here in my home. I mean, I know the big clubs as well, but the smaller clubs where I could get you maybe in. You know, I don't take my word for it. I will try my best.
Yeah.
But this would be really cool to see you here. So we will definitely talk next year and see what we can do and where you are standing. So one of the more fun things I always do at the end is kind of, you were lucky enough to be, you know, playing live gigs and stuff, and live gigs are live gigs, and sometimes we don't go according as planned. So do you have any funny stories going to a gig, on stage, falling off the stage, or behind the stage, you know, finding your dressing room or whatever? You have any funny stories you want to share with the audience?
You know, we've had quite some weird stuff, you know. I remember once when we played in Stockholm, the audio engineer walked up to me right between two songs and said, you know, we want to do some metal karaoke tonight. Can you like stop playing in after like next song or something? And we were so pissed off. It was like, wow, in the middle of our show, you know. So
this is
that
really
was
rude.
Yeah, it was really rude and awful. So I don't know. We have had like audio problems and stuff, and people totally missing some important parts in the songs and stuff. Like that was some long time ago. But yeah, it's always hard, you know, when someone asks. This is kind of like, "What's your favorite music?" And all of a sudden, you don't know anything about music. You know, when someone asks.
This would one of my very last questions. Oh, I mean, maybe let's rephrase it a little bit. What are you currently listening to? What do you like at the moment?
I listen a lot to. It's such a weird mix, you know. I listen to stuff like Gary Newman's latest album, Intruder. It's really cool and great. People should check it out. So then I listen to Billie Eilish, really. girl there, and KMFDM.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they're really
Keine
great.
Macht für den, nee, keine Macht für die, keine Mitleid für die Mehrheit, so rum war's.
Yeah, they've been around for quite a while now, and they're just funny. I listen to. I just got into some solo stuff with Brian Eno as well, so I'm kind of all over the place, you know.
Okay, that's absolutely, I like it. Okay, so thank you very much, William. It was really nice to get to know you. Please hit me up when you're done with your video. I want to see it, and I hope it's not too much strobe light that I don't have to put it away. It will be just jam. It will just a lot of jam. I know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so please keep me in the loop. Whenever you have something new out, you know, I have a playlist and I have a radio show, and I'm an absolutely nobody here, but I will try my best to get you booked if once you're on tour. So yeah, thank you for your time, and have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Yep. Bye.